You're probably like the most hated man in Levittown.
It's up there. I started realizing that he was buying material for other job sites.
With your capital.
With my capital.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I got a special guest on this one today. Strictly free game and no game. Make sure you stick around to the end of this video. I'm telling you, the game is off the hook. Lock in. All right, so welcome back to the podcast. This is the first podcast I've done in a year.
Thank you for having me be the first.
Of course. Why wouldn't I have you as the first? So this is Strictly Free Game. Welcome to the channel. If you like, subscribe, hit all of those prompts for me. I'm here with my guy, Amit. Amit, we've known each other for a while now, right?
We met, I think I was doing a house in Valley Stream in like 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
It's been that long, yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And a lot of things have changed since then too. I want to talk about your journey. First of all, I'm gonna tell you who Amit is. So Amit is a premier luxury builder on Long Island. We actually in one of his properties. So I was like, yo, Amit, we have to use one of your properties because there's no better place to be. So you do a lot of great details with your listings.
Yes.
But that's not how you originally started in the business.
Not at all.
I need the backstory with everything. I need you to teach people that want to be builders how to become a builder and how you didn't take the traditional route to get there.
Where do I begin? I bought my first fix and flip in Shirley in 2018, Valentine's Day. So I'll never forget that date. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. The opportunity came because there was a painter that was working at my mom's house and he actually came across the property and he needed somebody to put the capital up. And I had just dropped out of law school, quit my job and moved back home with my parents with my tail between my legs, not knowing what I wanted to do with my life, and had a little bit of money like saved up from the job that I was working, and the lift wasn't that big on that house, you know, comparatively.
Shirley, back then you could buy a house for like 80 grand back then?
Yeah, I think we picked this up for like 85 or something. It was crazy. And even then I think I was being told, you're buying it for too much. And I was like, all right, it's like my first one. I don't know what I'm doing here. But yeah, we picked that one up and then just sort of, lipstick on a pig sort of job. We repainted the house, changed the cabinets, changed the countertops, stuff like that, like minimal stuff. Sold it, made a decent amount of money. And I was like, all right, so I could do this again.
You got the bug, your hook?
Yeah, I got the bug. So ran it back with that same contractor for a couple of times. I think the difference for me was because I didn't actually know what I was doing and I was sort of quote unquote putting the money up. I just went to the job site every day and I really got an idea as to what it takes to renovate or build a house like that. So contractor would be putting together the list of materials that he needed. I would be going to Home Depot to get the orders put in. At night, I would be staying up, making an Excel spreadsheet, trying to figure out exactly the pricing on everything. So I have a better idea of what it takes. And because of my detail on that, I started realizing that I think it was the third house in, it was the one that I was doing in Hicksville with him, that he was buying material for other job sites.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
With your capital?
With my capital.
Wow.
Yeah, so I didn't say anything. We waited until the closing was complete on the sale of that, and then I brought it up at the closing table. And I pulled all the money back in that was owed to me. And then we cut ties after that. He also wasn't paying the contractors, the subs that he was using.
Oh, he wasn't paying the subs?
No, I was paying him to pay them, but he wasn't paying them. I collected all that capital back, and lo and behold, all those subs knew that I was a guy that was actually showing up at the job site every day, checking in on them. They knew they were getting paid because I got paid after the closing with me directly. And they said that they wanted to stick with me. So basically overnight I had like a pseudo construction company.
Now you have a team with you.
Yeah, I had like an entire team with me after that.
That's
so
insane.
Did a couple of houses after that, same thing, did renovations, and then, things were going really, really well. And then COVID happened. Everything stopped. Job sites were shut down, if you recall.
Were you not sneaking on? I mean, you could tell us now.
Yeah,
you sneaking on sites still?
tried to, but honestly, I think I was more terrified than anybody else about just making sure that we didn't get caught because I was afraid of fines. I was doing something in the boroughs around the same time, and we got a stop work order, and that was so expensive in the boroughs. It's like a $10,000 fine in the boroughs, and then your job is stopped for 3 months. So if you've got hard money on that, you're paying that interest regardless. And I didn't want that to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen on Long Island, along those lines. So I put a pause on it for a little bit. Yeah, right around COVID, I got an opportunity to do a new construction in Bethpage. Oddly enough, it was from Christian right over here who helped me source that deal, 5 Willow Street. So that was my first new construction, my first foray. And I had opportunities before then to be able to do it, but I was terrified. Just because of a renovation, there's already an existing structure.
I was going to ask you that. So you were doing renovation first. A lot of people usually want to get in and out, right? Especially if you're dealing with hard money.
Right.
So you were doing renovation. What was the bug that got you into the new construction? Other than, I know you said Christian bought you the deal.
Yeah.
What did you see as far as the value in it?
With a renovation, you're sort of just plugging holes. Really, for me, that's kind of the best way to look at it. Unless you're doing a full gut renovation and whether or not you're pulling permits, it also just always feels like you have to constantly be looking over your shoulder, not only with the town, but also with any problems that might arise. with a new construction, you're tearing the entire thing down and starting fresh. So it actually allows you the freedom to be able to design the way you want rather than just taking an existing structure there and trying to fit an idea or a vision into it. The fear for me was it's a lot more capital. It certainly wasn't any kind of capital that I had sitting around, so I had to go to lenders. You know, unlike a renovation, I was able to get 90% on the purchase as far as leverage goes and 100% construction, and it wasn't like huge numbers.
Yeah,
but on a new construction, if I'm buying the property for, at the time, $400,000 and it's going to cost another $400,000 to build it out, that's big money, even
big money,
for one.
yeah.
And lenders going to want, you know, they might float you 60 to 70% depending on your experience. They'll give you 100% construction, but it's in draws. So then you've got to figure out how to have the money to do the bridge financing so you can get the work going until you have them pay you back on the inspection. It's just all those things were so many moving parts, and I had never done it before that I was terrified.
So did you partner with someone when you
So
first got into it?
Yes and no. So I had two partners on that project. They were silent partners. One ended up being like the attorney that was representing us, and the other one was the agent who ended up helping on the sale of the listing. But I was in charge of running the show.
Okay.
And around that,
you acting as a GC?
I was acting as a GC, and around that time, I met my actual partner, who I work with a lot now, Sandeep. He's been doing a couple of constructions for another company on Long Island at the time, and so we hit it off. He ended up helping me out a ton. So he was giving me like the link to a bunch of his subs. He would show up on the job sites, kind of walk me through what needed to be done, how to deal with the town, things like that.
Speaking of dealing with the towns, because you're probably like the most hated man in Levittown.
It's up there.
So Levittown is a very interesting town to be doing new construction. Levittown is very interesting. It was what, like army houses for the most part?
Yeah, after World War II, Levitt and Sons built them out. They're like putting up houses in 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I could tell. You could tell by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like no basements, slab, cape, fireplace in the middle of the house randomly. Like Levittown is a very interesting town.
Yeah.
And it wasn't diverse at all.
Nope. Not
so now you have this guy who doesn't look look it up. Who doesn't fit the cookie cutter Levittown guy.
Yep.
Coming in, buying these capes, knocking them down, building these $2 million houses.
Yeah.
How has that been with the town, with the neighbors?
It's been a journey. The town doesn't really give us a hard time. We fit into the zoning requirements and the FAR requirements. Like, we're not doing anything that's wrong. You know, we're totally going by the book. The designs are obviously totally different than what people in Levittown are used to.
Totally different.
Levittown, for the most part, has always been sort of like a blue-collar town, and I'm not, like there's no derogatory statement when I'm saying that, but typically that's, like you said, it was army housing initially. And there are houses that have been passed down from generation to generation, and there's a lot of NIMBYism in that town. So for a developer like myself to come in and buy up these houses and then, build what they call, I guess, McMansions, it's annoying a lot of people over there, but, we're usually buying distressed houses, and the question sort of, in my mind, comes down to there's an eyesore on the block that you guys are complaining about that is not really fitting the mold because nobody was taking care of it, and we're coming in, we're buying it, we're putting up our capital and risking everything on the line to sort of beautify the neighborhood and eventually, as you can see in the last couple of years, actually bring up the property values of your homes.
That's what I was gonna say too. So most people, I would be like, all right, I'm glad the guy's building a $1 million house next door because my values are going to go up. And like you said, most of them usually the eyesores in the neighborhood.
They're usually
our eyesores.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I understand it from the neighbor's perspective, right? Like it's brand new, it's different. People fear change, and we want to do our best to sort of fit the aesthetic as much as we can, but that's very difficult to do when you've got a typical Levitt house. Like you can't really fit that aesthetic. So, we're not going to go like crazy on a design, but we're going to sort of fit what's also going on in the surrounding areas. And that would be, your Syosset, Plainview, Hicksville. So it's not like it's totally out of the ordinary. It's just what you're seeing in other nearby towns we're starting to do in
So what made you pick Levittown? Like what drew you to that area?
So I think it was 2023, town of Oyster Bay, which is where Hicksville and Syosset lie, changed their building code where you used to be able to do like a 9-foot basement. And then to combat, a lot of people, I guess, in that area were finishing the basements illegally and then renting the basements out. So the town was, I'm sure, sick and tired of hearing the complaints from the neighbors. So they decided to change the code to not allow basements above 6'11", or otherwise you've got to reduce the square footage above grade.
Oh, really?
So like if you were going to build a 3,300 square foot house on a 6,000 square foot lot, but you want to do a 9-foot basement, now they're counting that 9-foot basement as additional square footage. So you can't have as big of a house above grade anymore. Levittown falls into Town of Hempstead. So Town of Hempstead did not you don't have to conform to that building code change over there. So myself, along with a bunch of other developers, overnight decided let's just shift over.
Yeah, shift was fast too.
It was.
And I know that. I was curious to why the hell everybody was just coming to Levittown.
And Hicksville at the time had a lot of properties that were on the market or being built, and it was sort of getting oversaturated. And Levittown was still new. And I remember, I think in 2023, I had an opportunity to buy a house in Levittown for $385,000.
Wow.
And I didn't take it because I was like, this is too expensive. And I mean, I wish I would have. It is what it is. But in these days, we're fighting for houses at 550 plus just to knock them down.
Just to knock them down. What is the typical square footage that you're really looking for as far as like lot size?
Yeah.
Because a lot of these lots aren't, Levittown's not known for big lots.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
So the typical conforming lot in Levittown is 6,000 square feet, usually 60 wide by 100 long. On that, I can build like 33 to 3,400 square feet on average, including the garage. So, I mean, even so, you're getting about 3,200 square foot of living space. And then we do either an 8 or a 9 foot basement underneath. We don't finish the basements out. Sometimes the buyers that we have will want to finish the basement afterwards. So they will either want to hire us, to finish the basement, and, we have them pull permits or whatever, or they do it on their own.
That's after the sale?
Yeah, usually after the sale. We typically don't finish the basements beforehand, but you're even so in 3,400 square feet, you're getting 5 bedrooms, 3.5 to 4 baths. So, and it's great for either, larger families that are moving in. We have a lot of buyers that are actually coming in from the boroughs.
I was going to ask you about that too.
Yeah.
So it's a big influx of people coming in from the
They have 1 to 2 family homes that they bought 20 years ago for $200,000. They're selling it for 1.3.
Yeah.
They're flush with cash.
And he wants to wait to dump
Yeah,
it.
mortgage rates are not really affecting them because they're putting down 40 to 50%.
What is the Gera formula for the houses that he's building?
So usually we do 4 bedrooms upstairs, 1 bedroom on the first floor. We lay them out so the bedrooms are big enough to at least fit a queen size bed and 2 nightstands. So typically that's like the one wall that we would normally nominate to put a bed typically would have that size. The primary would get, a king size with 2 nightstands. So that gives you a general idea as to, the size of the bedroom. We'll usually have a primary and a junior primary that'll have, an attached bathroom and then a common bathroom upstairs. Bedroom on the first floor will either have its own bathroom or a shared bathroom with the rest of the living space.
Okay.
And then we like to define out the kitchen along with like either a dining room or a breakfast nook, and then have a living room, dining room combo, and then maybe like another family area.
Okay. And as far as like the layout, did you do that because because in Hicksville, a lot of them are multi-generational homes too. So have you started to see that kind of like traffic come this way, where you get like the in-laws that are coming like
quite a bit
on a low level?
We have a lot of buyers that are only looking for homes that have that bedroom on the first floor. We're actually getting a lot of opportunity now to build custom for a lot of buyers.
Okay.
If the homes that we're building are not conforming to what they want and they have something else in mind, I'm sourcing deals now or properties, and then I'm presenting them to buyers that we already have, waiting for another house, and then we're offering the opportunity to build custom or semi-custom. In some cases, we'll put the structure up already before, and we'll list the house on the market once the structure's up. And I usually don't like to, but if there's a buyer that we're locking in early and there's small structural changes, we'll move things around so it feels like a semi-custom home for them.
Yeah.
And it's great for us because I've got a locked-in buyer. My lender loves to see that.
Yeah.
They feel far more comfortable, and the buyers are really, really happy because they're not just walking into an open house where there might be a line out the door and having to settle, quote unquote, for a house.
Yeah, makes sense. How in detail are you letting them go though?
So like on the finishes, we'll let them choose, the tile, the flooring, the bathroom fixtures, kitchen cabinetry, countertops. It depends on what stage we're at as far as the, like when they come in and when they're in contract. But if it's early enough, we sort of, we give them allocations and budgets, and then we let them choose. And my partner usually handles the construction up until like a certain point, and then he'll handle the finishing. And I'm usually the person that's dealing with the buyers.
Yeah. You deal directly with them?
Yeah, I deal directly with the buyers, and then doing like all the detail work with them to make sure that everything is to their liking.
So listen, if you're looking for something in Levittown, it's the man to come to.
And also now we're doing stuff in Wantagh.
So now you're about to be the most hated man in Wantagh too. So you just want to talk when you're back at the
Yeah, we're gonna go Wantagh. I'm doing something in Belmore. We're building 4 houses in Dix Hills now.
I was going to ask you about Dix Hills.
Yeah. So I'm going a little bit higher end over there too.
Okay, so let's talk about Dix Hill. You're talking about high end. So this is high end. So
Yeah.
compare this to
So we're in about 3,300 square feet now in Bethpage, building one house in Dix Hills that's almost complete. That is going to be 6,800 square feet. So double the size.
That's
double the size of this. Yeah, it's
that's a brand new construction too?
brand new construction. We went super modern over there. So think, if you imagine what a modern house in like LA would be or Miami would be, we're bringing that to New York. So we're talking flat roof, like real open spans. The living room area has got a 22-foot high ceiling, so like a massive ceiling, 10-foot deep basement, like chef's kitchen, the whole nine.
Holy shit.
So we're going, and I think on that one, we're aiming for a $4 million price point. We're doing a couple of those, and then I'm about to start one in Old Westbury now too.
Okay, so how are you finding these deals?
Because I've been sort of investing in social media, and we've got a great social media team behind me.
Shout out to the team.
I'm getting a lot of attention as far as agents that sort of want to like do business with me. I mean, they say that I'm a real person doing real business. It's not, I'm not like trying to be smoke and mirrors here. Like, I live what I do, and, I live and I breathe this. I wake up every morning, and there's 1,000 problems on my plate, and I can't wait to solve them. I think like by 5 o'clock, I'm exhausted. The other day, I just for shits and giggles, I had like 102 phone calls by 5 o'clock.
Oh, damn.
And I was exhausted by the end of the day. And then I realized, I was like, yeah, because I've been on the phone all day, but I'll wake up and I'll do it again tomorrow.
Yourself? You don't have like an assistant?
No, I am hiring. So if anybody's looking,
too much of a control freak.
Yeah. You know what it is? My parents are both immigrants. My dad came to the U.S. with like $6 in his pocket, and he built like a massive business. Wow. And I saw him build it all himself. So I think I've got like huge shoes to fill, and even though like I don't want to say I'm afraid to ask for help, but I just want to see how much I can do on my own.
How much?
But I'm at this point where like, all right, I know how much I can do, but if I want to do more, I need.
You got to scale. You got to scale.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I raise my hand to that too. That's been my biggest Achilles heel. For the most part.
It's quite difficult because I'm such like. I need to have my hand in everything, and I almost like need to have all those every moving part sort of go through me, so it has my touch on it, and I just got to figure out a way to delegate and all that. So it's a learning lesson. And
but when you figure out the lesson, write down some notes so you can send them my way.
You got it.
I'm struggling. I'm not gonna lie. You are very different from a lot of. Can I call you a contractor? Like what was your title? Developer?
Developer.
We'll call you developer. Contract, call you developer. You're a lot different than a lot of developers that I know out here. One, if you check out Amit's Instagram, because we're gonna talk about social media, Amit is like super fly. I see him, he got like Kip on, like I'm like, but that's why in 2019, 2020, I was like, yo, this guy, I like this guy. He's dope. He put a lot of hip hop in his stuff.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about all of that.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get into the content. What got you into this? You're not camera shy as much as you probably say this.
I say I am.
Yeah, you're not camera shy. You like loving the camera. How did you start doing this, and how has this elevated your business?
I was a DJ in college. And
you would see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I taught myself how to DJ.
Okay, what kind of DJ?
I used to do like hip hop and house, but I would do it off of like actual vinyl turntables. So I had like the original.
You was actually vinyl? No Serato?
No. So like MK5 Technics. I taught myself, I think, freshman year.
I need to know
college.
the DJ name. What was your DJ name?
I just went by my name. I wasn't clever enough to like, come up with on my own.
I mean, it's a good one, though.
Yeah, so it was easy. And I was like, I was just DJing I was in a fraternity, so I was really just like DJing the basement, parties.
Okay.
And I told myself I was doing it to meet the girls, but everybody in my fraternity will tell you, I was so focused on like actually like playing music and like controlling the environment and controlling the party that if like a girl came up to me and was like flirting with me, it went right over my head because I was so busy just like paying attention to what I was doing. But I fell in love with that because I realized there was a party that we threw. We called it I don't know how much I can share.
You can share as much as you want to.
We called it the Jungle Party.
Okay.
We retrofitted the basement. So I went to Drexel, and it was a school of all engineers. So I was a business major, but there's like mostly engineers. We retrofitted the basement where we took this sprinkler system in the basement, and you should not be doing this. And we had it on, like the engineers, they figured out how to like have it on a timer. So we hit a button and we could make it rain in the basement. Oh, shit. So we brought in sand and everything, like actually made the basement look like a jungle. And I remember, me and my buddy will talk about this all the time. So I remember standing in the basement and I found a house track remix of the opening song to The Lion King. And I played that, and my buddy was on the microphone, and he said, "Welcome to the jungle party." And there's flashing lights, and one of the other guys hit the button, and it's like raining in the basement, and like time just stopped for a second. And I'm just like, I remember like everything slowing down. And in that moment, I was just like, oh my God, like we are controlling this entire environment and the way everybody thinks, feels, and remembers tonight. And I basically, like, after that, I like every sort of house that I went into and started building, I'm like searching for that same feeling again, where like, if I walk into a house and like I'm designing it or building it, I want people to like have like that feeling when they walk in where they can just see their future there, right? Where like they can imagine having birthdays and Thanksgiving and just get-togethers and gatherings and memories, and the moment somebody walks into a house that we're building and selling, they just feel that thing and they have to have that house.
So it's bigger than just knocking walls down.
No, yeah,
it's more of an emotional.
It's like an emotional thing, and you know, even like growing up, I was always fascinated with public spaces, like restaurants and hotels, because if you walk into a restaurant, I mean, like you'll remember the food, but you'll also remember the way the waiter treated you, or like what the ambiance was, or when you go into a hotel and like if the way the lobby is laid out, and if, you know, when you walk in to check in, if they're paying attention to you, like all those things, you like, you remember all of those things. And I wanted to figure out a way to do that in a home that we build and sell. So like that sort of like feeds, I guess, the ego in me and wanting to build this and do it right.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Damn. All right. So now you know Amit was, if he he was doing house parties in the basement. They had a spring. I would love to see. I wish we had like social media back then.
I know.
That would have been a dope thing to see, because you have a bunch of engineers. I could just imagine how that looks. That must look insane.
We were told we're not allowed to take pictures, but I'm sure some people
Somebody
did.
had to capture that. So, we didn't have social media back then, right? Social media became like in our business, like around like 2020, that's when it really like exploded. What made you say, you know what, let me get in front of these cameras, let me really my business?
So when I was renovating a couple of houses here and there at the time, I was still using Instagram, like the same other people were, where like you would take a picture and then heavily filter it and like just throw it on. But I think it was right around like 2019 or 2020, I think Instagram started allowing you to post stories. And so what I would do is I would take pictures of spaces and then I would create a poll, be like, I can't choose between this floor color and this tile, and whatever followers I had, I'd be like, you know, I'm gonna leave it to public opinion. What do you guys think? And like, I would have like people like DMing me or voting on what I would do, and I would just follow that. And then we would have the finishing touch and show that. And I kind of got an idea as to the sense of and the power of social media at that point.
You focused on the engagement without even
and I had no idea that I was even doing that. I just thought I was like, I can't figure this shit out, so maybe somebody will help me. So I started doing that, and then right around the time I was in that new construction in Bethpage, you know, I was like following along and taking a bunch of pictures and videos, and people were reaching out and they wanted to walk the house because we were doing something different than most other builders were starting to do. We had a couple of agents actually want to shoot some content once that house was done. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I built like a beautiful enough house where there's other agents that have no affiliation with the home whatsoever, but they want to shoot content in this house. And they were building their own engagement. And then I figured, and you know, with the push from the media team, they were like, you should like really lean into this. And I also had Charles, aka the Handsome Home Buyer, constantly telling me, he's like, you need to do social media. You need to do social media. And my excuse was always the same, where I was like, I don't want to get in front of the camera. I'm too camera shy. Like I don't think it's for me or whatever. And it really was for me. I was just like, I'm going to stut over my words. I'm going to stumble. And then I think at a certain point I was like, so what?
Yeah, who cares?
I think that's like more authentic than anything else. If I'm gonna be so polished in front of the camera, it's not gonna feel real, and I don't want to feel like I'm going over a script. So if I screw up, it's a blooper, and then we put the bloopers out later, and it's a great way for people to feel like they're actually dealing with somebody that's like authentic and real. And so the last I think like 15 months now, 16 months now, like super hard on social media. And it's been great. It's done wonders for the business. To the point now where like if anybody asks, you know, me, I'm like, yo, just go super hard on social media. You know, and I've even put it out to the same thing where like if we have a house and I go to like a panel, or I've spoken to a couple of brokerages now, I let, you know, the agents over there, and I was like, yo, I'll let your like entire office know if we're demoing a house, if we're building a house, like send, you know, the house is open to your agents, let them shoot whatever content they want to build their own brand. They can use my property, and it works well because not only my
But we're taking advantage of that too. All teams take.
But it gets more eyes on the homes that we're building, and obviously it helps with my brand. But it's a great way for agents, brokers, insurance agents, home inspectors, what have you, to be able to like build their own brand and not have to just go into like a studio or like have like a green screen sort of effect. Like there's a place for them to do. So it's a symbiotic relationship.
No, that's dope. And you're big on collaboration.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I am not like, I appreciate like all the accolade and everything I get, but like I am not the person I am if it wasn't for all the people that helped me. Like even the homes that we're staying in, I'm the face of the brand or whatever, but like I've got a partner that's sort of behind the scenes and he prefers to be behind the scenes, but like
that's Sandeep?
Sandeep, yeah. Like I can't do any of the shit.
Somebody like, yo, make sure you tag Sandeep. I'm like, all right, I just never seen him.
I can't do any of the shit without him. Like he's constantly running around, you know, and like like
Pablo Escobar.
Like this shit, like this, like if it was just me, I was probably going to be like maybe do like half of what I'm able to do right now. So like it's all about having like the team. Exactly. It's about having like the right team and the right people in place and like doing right by people. I've had partners in the past where, I won't name names, but I've had a partner in the past where when things were going great, they were going great and we went on a handshake deal. And the moment things went south, they left me holding the bag and said, oh, we were never actually partners to begin with. And like, it sucks because, like somebody like that was my brother. And, like we were doing a lot together and one thing goes south and, but that's just the way it is.
You'll see someone's real character when shit gets tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see somebody's real character. You were on a panel recently, you were even discussing that you would allow people to come into deals with you as well.
Yeah. So I've got like a good group of private investors. It used to be like family and friends. And
is there a certain dollar amount that they have to come in with? Or like,
so it used to be, it was like a minimum of like 50K. I'm actually starting to put together a real estate fund now and having to go through like all the bureaucracy and red tape of like what that requires because it's a whole different animal. And then once we do that, we'll actually be able to have, smaller amounts come in and sort of allow it to be working capital or bridge financing and just give people the opportunity to put equity into a deal. Obviously, like when you're dealing with these larger numbers, it's quite difficult to like, if I'm allowing everybody to come in with $25,000 and it's like an $800,000 deal, I've got 16 partners now. And like the accounting behind that is difficult. But like, as I figure that out and we scale this, we're going to start to do that more and more. But yeah, to answer your question, so I've got a couple of private investors. They will either put up the purchase money up or the construction money up, and then we'll either, depending on what they want, either give them equity in the deal if they're feeling like they want to take on a little bit more of the risk, or we'll pay them interest in monthly installments. So they sort of act like a hard money lender on their end. And everybody gets to feel like they're a part of it, and we provide them updates so they know like where their money's going. Like all the pictures and video that we're taking, every week I'll send them like an update as to what's going on. So even if like they're not around and they can't actually see what's going on in the house, they get a better understanding of like where their money's going. And it gives them more comfortability to want to invest more or put in like more money or maybe want to do it on their own. I have two people right now that had invested in a couple of deals with me, and then they ended up sourcing a deal and they paid for it. Now they're having me build for them. So
you're doing a build for them?
Yeah, so between that, like between the houses that we're building and like I said, the semi-custom homes, I'm actually building for other investors now too.
Nice.
So it allows me to.
You're still doing all of this shit by yourself?
Yeah, and we do all the procurement ourselves, all like the design ourselves. I mean, like I'll lean on like the tile people. They've got a designer there, so I'll be like, hey, these are the 5 bathrooms. Let me know like what ideas you have in mind. But I usually have final say.
As far as design, so I've been in a couple of your properties. None of them really look alike. Is that like on design?
Even if the layout's the same, the tile should be a little bit different.
I noticed that.
It also depends on like what price point we're going for.
Okay. So
if we're going a little bit higher, I'm going to spend a little bit more on the design or go a little bit higher end than tile or the flooring. But I like every single one to be a little bit different, whether it's like the wall design or the coffered ceilings or the tile and stuff like that.
You could definitely tell.
Yeah, I mean, I think eventually the goal would be like, I don't know, maybe go like I don't want to say like Toll Brothers route, but like I'd much rather love to, buy a huge swath of land and build like 12 houses on them all.
I was going to ask you that. Is that your long term?
Yeah.
Are you only doing investing in New York?
So I've had the opportunities to invest outside of New York as well, but I think I just sort of need to like feel and see.
You need to be there.
Yeah, I need to be there. I need to like actually like see it and be able to walk it eventually. I mean, it's really difficult to be able to invest here, especially on like rentals, you know, just the way the tenant and landlord laws work. But for me right now, I sort of just want to put together as much capital as I can. I'm building my first rental now, so I've got a partner, and we're.
You were telling me about that one. Is that the one in Brooklyn you're talking about?
Yeah. So
give me some details on that one, because that's different than what you've been doing. Like,
right.
Most of it's been residential, straight sales. Now you're doing, this is a buy and hold?
This is a buy and hold, yeah. So I bought in 2021, I think 21 or 22. I got a deal in Crown Heights, in the Weeksville section, like of Crown Heights.
Is that right off Atlantic?
Yeah, right off Atlantic.
It's hot over there.
Yeah. And it's like, and it's only getting better over there too. Yeah. Like there's a Whole Foods coming soon, and Trader Joe's. So like the area is just going up. So
crazy.
I ended up buying it in 2022, and I wanted to build as quickly as I can. And it was right around that time that the 421A tax abatement was about to expire. And the deal only made sense if that tax abatement was in effect, because otherwise, like once I finished the property, I'm building an 8-unit building over there.
What's the abatement, like 15 years?
It was, I think on the 421A, it was 20 or 25 years.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, but we missed it.
Oh, you just missed it?
We just missed it, because you have to have like your footings in place by a certain date, and we missed the mark. And then there wasn't a replacement for the 421A until last year. So I ended up having to sit on the property for 2 years, and I couldn't do anything on it because like the just numbers weren't penciling out. Rates shot up. So any money that I needed to build the property out, like the construction loan in that building alone is like $2.4 million. So, you know, at like 10 or 11%, that's like, there's no money to be made over there. Yeah. So I ended up sitting on the property, and then by luck of the draw, I met a new broker at like a networking event, and he's like, yeah, I know this guy. Because I've never actually like built, especially that size in that area, and I didn't know how to navigate the boroughs. By luck of the draw, I was at a networking event, and I met this broker. He's like, I actually have this GC that would be, you know, like we were talking. He's like, he'd be willing to come in as an equity partner on a larger deal like that, where he'll build it, and he'll build it at cost. And he'll come in as equity instead. And I was like, that's actually the ideal format for me, because if he's got experience, he clearly already has lenders that work with him, so he can probably get better financing than I ever could on a project of this size. And I don't have to be in Brooklyn 3 days a week. Right. So, because I don't know what I'm doing about superstructures and demos and all that. We got approved for the new tax abatement, which is like a 35-year tax ababetement.
Well, you actually want to work
better.
out.
Yeah, it ended up working out. And I was really going to build condos over there, but now I'm just building a rental building. So it'll be an 8-unit rental building. It'll be my first of like my portfolio. And then...
And is that the goal going forward? I
think I want to, I mean, the end goal would be like to have like a skyscraper with my last name on it one day in the city. You know, I'm going to dream until I can make that come true.
As you should, man.
But yeah, this will be like the first stepping stone.
That's nice, man. Yeah. That's amazing. That is freaking amazing.
So I want to try something like that.
Yeah. So you it sounds like you are constantly going and going. There's no ceiling for you at all.
No. Yeah. It's crazy because if I look back, I was so afraid to do new constructions. Like I wouldn't jump into them for the first couple of years. And now I'm like, oh yeah, like let's build a building. Yeah.
Let's build a building now. Now I want a skyscraper. Let me go all in. Bro, you told me a lot that I didn't even know about you today, so that's amazing, bro. I appreciate you for even doing this. Before we leave,
yes,
2 things before we leave. So when you were on that panel, you were talking, I want you to talk to these future developers, flippers, and all that stuff. So you mentioned that one of your biggest mistakes when you got into it is that you were too invested into the house.
Yes, I fell in love.
You fell in love with the house.
Yeah.
So talk to the new investor. Right?
Okay.
The new investor, do's and don'ts. Like if you lay out like 3 things that they should stay away from, or 3 things that they should like really go into.
Yep.
What would it be?
My mistake was, and I said this on the panels, I think I spent like $1,100 on doorknobs because I liked the way they felt in my hand. Don't do that. It's not worth it. I promise you're not going to get the return on investment on that. No, what I mean by like don't fall in love with the house is obviously pay attention and focus on the areas that like sell the house, make the house a home. And I'm talking about kitchens, bathrooms, the areas where you're going to spend the most amount of time, and like really, really think about, you know, if that was your house, how would you want it laid out? Think about like the functionality of a space like that. It's the most important, because when a buyer walks in and, you know, they're going to do like a first showing or a second showing or whatever, they're going to want to get a feel for what the house is going to feel like when they actually live in it. So pay attention to those areas, but you really have to understand where it makes sense to have your ROIs at the end of the day, right? So bathrooms, kitchens, like I said, You don't need to necessarily do doorknobs. You don't have to do like a custom closet off the get-go. If a buyer asks for it, you can always invest in that later. Like you don't need to do everything all at once to sell a house. Allow people to have the vision, and then if they need changes, it's a negotiating tool for you later.
Okay.
You don't need to do everything all at once because you're not gonna fit what everybody needs. You might spend $8,000 on like a custom closet and the buyer's gonna be like, oh, this is actually not fit the functionality that I need for the way I have my clothes laid out. And they're gonna ask you to take it out so it's just things like that where you just need to focus on what makes the most sense, especially in that area. Talk to, go to open houses, talk to agents. They are, they see everything.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's an old school skill a lot of people.
You get all the feedback at the end of the day. Yeah. I used to be the type where I would just walk into an open house and just to get a feel for like what's going on in the neighborhood of the area before I even invest into it. I'll talk to the agent and all that. So at the end of the day, it's just like that's what I would pay attention to the most.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, we're gonna leave it off with this. So DJ Amit, what records, right? So I'm an 80s baby, right? I'm an 80s baby, 90s baby. Hip hop is everything to me, right? So as you can see with my brand, I do a lot of things hip hop. I like to implement what I love into what I love. What record is defining? Like you just got this, the skyscraper is coming. You just closed on a deal to build a skyscraper. What is the first record you're throwing on?
Oh, it's always Jay-Z.
Oh, see,
it's always Jay-Z.
Jay-Z is always a quote. Jay-Z always.
Yeah, it's always something. The Black Album. I remember sitting in my bedroom playing it was something on like Xbox, and I was like playing, and I would always have like the Black Album playing in the background. And so every time like there's a house sale or there's something cool, I got to throw on something from the Black Album.
Nice.
Always. Yeah.
I wasn't thinking Jay, but Jay, you can't go wrong with a Jay record.
Yeah. It's either that or Biggie.
Is it? Okay. All right. You old school. You old school guy. I like that. All right, cool, man.
So I'm heavy on Instagram. It's Amit X Gera. So AMIT XGERA. Don't make the mistake that I made. If you ever have any questions, reach out to me. I'm so happy to answer questions for people that are interested in getting involved or don't know where to go about finding subcontractors or just have any questions, like reach out. I do my best to respond to DMs as much as I can or text messages. I'm not the greatest at it, but I promise you I'm not ignoring you. It takes me a little bit, but I try to get back to everybody. But other than that, listen, you just gotta have confidence in yourself. It's something that I lacked at first when I first got into this business. And the more confidence I have, the more of an ability I've been able to have to build more and more. So you just gotta, even if you gotta fake it, just fake it for a little bit. I promise you it will come.
I like that. That's good advice, man. Listen, make sure you holler at me. If you have any deals, they can send them your way as well.
Yes.
So what towns are you looking into?
So heavily investing in Levittown, Wantagh, Belmore, Merrick, Bethpage, but I'm open to other areas. Like I said, we're building in Dix Hills. I'd love to do something either within Nassau County or Western Suffolk. That's one of the areas where I get to be able to put my hand and I can actually go and visit the job sites. But if you have a crazy deal and you think it's something that that could work well for both of us, I'm more than happy to. I do pay referral fees. I give listings back. So I'm looking for long-term relationships. That's the type of people I want to work with.
All right, cool. And that's it. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all of that good stuff. And we'll be back with the next one, my brother.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.